Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Beyond the Gates Season 2, Episode 99. I'm catching up, y'all. I'm catching up. All right, so before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, so we start this episode off with Eva coming out of her bedroom, going into her living room, and Leslie is there. So she's sitting on the couch. Eva's scared. She wants to know. She says, you're supposed to knock first. Leslie's just like, I own this. I own this place or this apartment, whatever. Leslie says she did knock, but she didn't hear anything. So that she did. There was no answer. So she used her key. And she says, I heard you singing in the shower. And since I didn't hear no harmonizing, I know that Izaiah's not there, so we get to spend the day together. Eva tells her she already has plans. They'll have to catch up later. Leslie then says she isn't going anywhere. She'll help her find an outfit. She'll help her find what she's going to wear while she, finishes her face, while she finishes her face. Um, Eva says, I'm done with my face. And Leslie is just like, girl, really? Like, where are you going as this plain Jane? Like, making, girl. I was just like, girl, annoyance. Like, because you go overboard, you want your daughter to go overboard. But I digress. So they talk about that. Um, Eva won't tell her where she's going. Leslie guilts her by saying, "Oh, you're leaving me to the side now that you're always busy with the clinic, with your dad, with the Duprees, with this, with that." And it's just like, when is she ever busy with the Duprees? What do the Duprees have to do with anything? She don't have no say so or any dealings with the Duprees. Why do you always got to bring up the Duprees? Like, make that make sense. Who in the Duprees do she deal with? Ted, he's not a Dupree. Samantha, maybe. But other than that, who else? Anyways, so she tells her, you've got all these going on and you've left me to the wayside and da 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 all this other stuff. And it's just like, you brought her to town to build these relationships with these people. Now you're mad that she's not taking you along for the ride, is what we're hearing. So, did you really bring her to town so that she can have these relationships, or did you bring her to town so that she can get you in the door with these relationships? Which one is it, Leslie? So Eva tells her she's forever grateful for her to, put her in proximity with her daddy, and Leslie's always going to be the number one person that's in her phone book or something like that. It's just like, I guess. So we see Izaiah, he's meeting his mom at OG's, and they're gonna she's happy to be spending time with him, some one-on-one time with him, and hopes that he's coming to the station. She wants to shout from the rooftop that her baby busted the criminal ring, but because he may want to go back undercover, she can't, so she'll just have to settle for this little ceremony that they're about to do. And she wants to have a celebration and Sunday dinner on Sunday with him or whatever. And she's going to make all of his faves. And she asked Izaiah to make some peach cobbler, something that he learned how to make with those Instagram videos that he's watching or whatever. Izaiah stops her and tells her that's not going to happen. She wants to understand. She says she understands that he and Elon don't see eye to eye, but she hopes that they will get along for Jacob's sake. No, but he and Jacob do get along, and it would mean the world to him if he was there for family dinner or whatever. And then he wants to know if Eva is invited. Why would she be invited to family dinner? First of all, why are you introducing her to your family so soon? Like, y'all just started dating. Like, how soon do people be introducing people to their family? Like I don't get like I get it's a TV show. I get things move differently in TV, real life, but I need to know like how soon do people be introducing their significant other to their family? Especially their parents. Like I can understand you introducing to your siblings, your cousins, like people in your age that you like y'all can hang with and stuff like that. But your parents, I would think you would introduce them to your parents when you are ready to take that next step. Like we're gonna get married or we're gonna be moving in together, like something like that. Like that's when you would be introducing. It's just like you and her just y'all didn't even go through a talking phase. Y'all was smash. Y'all met, y'all started smashing. Then on Valentine's, around Valentine's is when y'all decided to become boyfriend and girlfriend. And here we are in June. And not even in June, but you was already introducing her to your mama in in May, by April, May. It was just like y'all haven't even talked about all that stuff. But anyways, so he wants to know if she's invited. Her mama said Darlene says, why? Like, why would she be invited? Because again, that's a valid question. If we're doing something for family, why is she invited? So she says it's going to be a small event. He wants to know if Naomi is going to be there. And she said, well, yeah, because that's his wife. And he says, well, Eva's his significant other. And she says, well, she's other than significant. And he says he won't be coming to supper or any other meals since she can't hold her tongue when it comes to Eva. Darlene doesn't know how Eva has a hold on him. He tells her that they're in love. Darlene doesn't believe it, just like I don't believe it. He tells her Eva will be at all family events or he won't like who he decides to cut out of his life. And if I were Darlene, I would have said, and by all means, please cut us out of your life because you're not going to threaten me by forcing this girl into our lives when one, we know what her and her mama did. We can't prove it, but we all know what her and her mama did. And now you want to bring her around all these cops. You want to integrate her into our lives. Please, by all means, cut me off. You couldn't even get it together for your brother's wedding. So I know you're not going to get it together for any other event when it comes because you're selfish. Izaiah is all the way selfish and I do not like him. I do not like him. And it's not even it's partly because of Eva but mainly because of him because you the way that you move and the way that you do things is so out of pocket. Like you've known your family your whole entire life. You've known majority of the people in this community for as long as Jacob has been dating Naomi. You know them. And you would pick the girl that you just met not even a year ago over them and what they say and how they feel about all this stuff. And then she tells you half truths. So partially she's telling you some of the things that have happened. So the fact that she's telling you some of the things that have happened, but you still want to make it seem like everybody else is wrong, you and Eva really do deserve each other. And yeah, I if I was Darlene, I would have said, okay, that's fine. I guess I'll see you when I see you. I ain't seen you all this time since your brother got married. I'm okay with not seeing you no more. Okay. You ain't been around anyway, so whoop de doo. Like bye. But she loves her son, so she gonna try to make it work with him, whatever. So we see Haley and she's at the club, and she's putting the the poison stuff into her, in her bra or whatever. Bill comes up and he tells her that the table is almost ready. They talk about last night and how they was getting freaky deaky or whatever, and how his hand is no longer shaking. He puts his arm around her and she just like pushes him off. He wants to know, like, what was that? And she says, oh, it's PDA. They just starting to get into a good place in the community, and she don't want them. Um, she doesn't want it to look bad or something like that. And it was just like, that don't make nobody sense. But Bill is just being a big old dummy, so he accepts it. Um, he she asked him what's wrong, and he says, it's Danny. He tells her about their conversation that they had the other day and how he be missing things, and when she did that, he felt like he had missed something or whatever. Haley starts to talk bad about Danny and her family, as she always does, and says if Danny was more supportive, then he wouldn't have to look outside of his marriage. I can't stand. It's like you blaming the woman for the man stepping out of their marriage. So then when he steps out on his marriage with you, are you then going to blame yourself? Because I don't know why you think that he wouldn't do what he did to Danny to you. And I know that you're just a con woman, so you don't really care. But the more that you talk bad about her, the stupider you look, because it's just like you saw him kissing Danny. So he already stepped out on you. So because we all know that it's not going, like, she ain't gonna take him out. They won't go there. They won't go that route. She's not gonna take him out. So when it does hit the fan and he does cheat on you, and we find out everything, you are to blame for the reason why he cheated on you, because you're saying essentially that's what Danny did. I digress. So he says that it wasn't that simple. She says he's a better man with her than he was with Danny, and he loves that she's sticking up for him. They talk about Martin's fundraiser, and and then Bill gets a text from Danny. So we see Kat, she's at Uptown, and she's on her iPad, she's listening to a podcast, and she's taking notes or whatever. And Smitty comes in, like, she says, oh, the husband did it. And Smitty comes in, and she was just like, oh, I was listening to a crime podcast, X, Y, and Z. He was just like, okay, well, I'll let you get to it, because there's nothing more that I hate. There's nothing I hate more than being interrupted when I'm almost done with the podcast or whatever. And she's just like, oh no, I was just on episode 1. I usually can figure out like who the culprit is within the first 10 minutes or whatever. So he comes over, and then he starts looking at her iPad, and he reads off what she has. So it says designer detective, couture and cuffs, handbags, and homicide. And he wants to know what it all is. And she's just like, oh, she's thinking about starting a podcast. I like that, couture and cuffs. I thought that was a cute name. I was like, that would be real cute. So Smitty wants to know, she's let's see. Smitty wants to know what she's been thinking about it. She says it's just an idea, and she's never and she asked him if he's ever thought about doing a podcast, and he was just like, yeah, I thought about it, but it's a lot of work. But I have been a guest on some when I was doing the political beat. I've been a guest on a couple of podcasts or whatever. So she says, I just had the and then he tells her, true crime is popular, so it would be good or whatever. He wants to know if she has any idea for her first subject, and she says yes, and he would be the perfect gift. Perfect guess. I'm sorry. She wants to talk about Lynette Wise's disappearance. So he doesn't know he doesn't know what he would say, and she lets him know that Tomas told her that he about looking into Lynette or whatever, so he knows what it is. So he says you can't accuse someone of oh, and she says she thinks she knows about Lynette and Lee and all of that or whatever. So he tells her you can't be accusing people of you can't accuse people of you can't child, why can't I talk right now? You can't accuse people of unaliving someone without proof. I don't know why that was so hard to come out. But and she says you sound like Jacob. And then she talks about like when they were working together, when they were trying to get evidence on um Leslie, and then when they were looking for Chelsea, she says she wants to use Smitty as her role model, and she explains why, and he tries to explain to her and tell her, you can't you can't be a like being a journalist or an investigative journalist is different than being a cop. And she was just like, well, I'll just call myself an amateur detective. And he was just like he was just like that. He explained to her that there are real life consequences and it's not all about entertainment. So she has, she's thinking about it or whatever. So we see Naomi at Danny's and they're getting ready. They're going to go to the station. Naomi wants to talk to her first about her marriage. Danny, thought things were getting better. Now that he's back, she says she did too. She's been spending so much time with Ashley since Derek's passing that this was their last night was their first night together since he's been back. Danny thinks something's wrong in the bedroom, but she tells her no, that wasn't the issue. She doesn't want him to go undercover again. She doesn't know how she'll deal with that over and over and over again. It wasn't easy. She said she tells her Naomi tells Danny about Jacob moving out and the burner phone and them meeting up in the hotel and all of that. Danny tells her, it wasn't easy for either of them, but it's part of being married to a cop. Naomi says she thought she was marrying the cute guy in the courthouse who wore uniforms, who came home for dinner and checked on her throughout the day. She says she didn't sign up to be married to an undercover detective. She wants to be supportive, but she didn't sign up for this. Danny tells her to live in the moment, make every second count, and let your partner be who they want to be because that's what you would want. That's how you would want them to treat you. She agrees, and Danny says, "Let's get ready to go to the station to celebrate your husband." And with this, I will say when because I need to know the status of not this. Yeah, I need to know like what his job title was at the time of them getting married because I feel like I don't know if he just made detective. I can't remember if he had just made detective when the show started or if he had already been a detective. So like now you're saying you don't this isn't what you married when you've always known that this is low key where he was going because I'm pretty sure that y'all discussed all of this like where he wants to go in his career. So now you're saying, "Oh, you can't handle it." But then it's just like you can't handle it because he'll be gone, or is it because something could happen to him? Is that why you can't handle it? Because if that's the case, then you should have never married a cop because anything could happen to him at any time. He could be on the road doing a traffic stop and something bad happens. Like as a cop, you never know. As anybody, you never know because he could be driving home to you one day and something could happen. So for you to now say, "Oh, because he's a cop and he wants to go back undercover. I don't know if I can handle this. Isn't what I signed up for." It's just like it's coming off real. Why did you even marry this man to begin with? And it's just like every time, like when they initially started the show, they were so lovey-dovey, and it's like now ever since they had that baby scare, Naomi is trying to find every and any reason that she can to not be married to him. First, it was okay, you want to have a baby, but I don't. But then he's telling you, I'm okay with us not having a baby because I want to be with you. But then you're saying, well, now that he had the thought of process of maybe they we could have a baby, now he's really thinking about it, but he's telling you that no, that's not what it is. So that's that. Then you don't want to tell him about the BRCA gene. So that can be another reason why you can say, oh, you don't want to have kids because you, which is like, I could have, I thought it would have been smart for her to tell him, like, I have this BRCA gene. So now I really can't have kids because I don't want to pass it down. That would have been a good way to like make sure that y'all don't have kids or whatever. But she didn't even tell him that. She's hiding, lying to him about that. Now it's because he wants to go undercover. And it's just like, girl, what, just divorce this man. If that's what it is, divorce him. Let him go. Let him go and do his own thing because clearly you don't want this man. And I love them. I really like them together, but I just don't get it. So we see Marcel and Elon. They're at the station. They're talking about Jacob and, not making a big deal over this or whatever. He says he wouldn't be surprised if Jacob doesn't show up since he hasn't seen his wife in so long. But Jacob walks in and um, Malone makes a joke and Jacob ain't up for his ish today. Elon tells him that Malone didn't mean anything by it. Jacob knows, but he wants to focus on the case and he doesn't want to do this accommodation ceremony or whatever. Elon tells him that the case is wrapped. Jacob says not until he personally takes down the impaler, and it's just like okay. He thinks that they should rethink the ceremony since Derek is gone and the impaler got away. Elon tries to give him a pep talk, but Jacob isn't trying to hear it. Malone is listening in, and then he comes over and he also tries to give him a pep talk, but Jacob again is not trying to hear anything. So Malone gives him a gift, and it's a mug that says "Not the world's worst detective." He doesn't think it's funny. Um, Malone tries to give him his props. Again, he ain't trying to hear it. We see Isaiah and Darlene come in with the cake, and yes, Isaiah and Darlene come in with the cake, and she wants to take a picture with her boys, but she can't get anybody to take the picture because she asked Malone, and he was just like, "Oh, I got a call." And he picks up his phone, so then she asks Elon to take the picture. So as Elon is getting ready, he takes one picture of them, I think, as a family, and then Eva comes in, and Isaiah brings her in, and was just like, "Oh, come take a picture or whatever." So they take a picture with Eva. Then she tells him that's enough after he took one picture. So she was just like, oh, I want to take a family picture. So Eva takes a family picture of them or whatever. Jacob gets pissed about taking the picture. So Isaiah goes to go and talk to Isaiah goes to talk to Eva in the corner, and um Darlene is looking through her phone at the pictures, and she gets ready to delete the picture of with Eva in it. And but Isaiah says, "Oh, I need to. Can you send me that picture or whatever?" So she sends it to him. She goes to start setting up, and she calls Isaiah to come help her. And he was just like, "I'm in the middle of some. I'm busy right now talking to Eva." I was just like, again, this is why I don't like you. Like this man has no respect for his parents, and they need to tell us what his parents did to him for him to have no respect for them. And if the reason why he has no respect for his parents, because the reason why he doesn't have respect for his parents is because they wanted him to be something and they didn't want him to fall into the wrong hands. I'm gonna be very upset because that's the way it's looking. And it's just like, sir, because your parents wanted you to do something with your life and have you a good life, that's the reason why you don't like them. Like the more that we see Isaiah, sorry, not we, but the more I see Isaiah and the more I get to know his character, I don't like him. And it's like, I don't know what they're going to do to turn that around because everything about him is just ugh. Like everything about Izaiah is like so annoying. So Darlene walks up to them and she let's see, she walks up to them, she makes nice with Eva. Eva says she'll help her with setting up the stuff or whatever. um Isaiah says, can he get her some water because she looked like she was about to choke on her words. And she says, I didn't want to ruin Jacob's day. um and he should remember that when he crosses paths with his father. And again, he couldn't even wear a freaking tuxedo to his brother's wedding because he was mad at his pops. Do you really think that he would like this day he wouldn't ruin? Like, do you really think that? Like this man, the biggest day of his brother's life, his wedding, he couldn't even wear a tuxedo. And you think that he would be nice on this day? Just but whatever. So Naomi and Danny arrived. Danny is proud of him and glad that he came back unharmed. Jacob walks away and Danny was just like, "Dang, I forgot about Derek." Naomi tells her it's okay. Isaiah is talking to Jacob and telling him, they talk about them running into each other on the streets. And Jacob thanks him for coming and Isaiah says he always got his back. Isaiah hasn't seen Elon smile this much in forever. Naomi talks with Eva, and they talk, and she gives her pointers with Darlene, and tells her not to take things personally. Danny comes over and tells Naomi that Elon wants to start, but she told him to hold off because Bill isn't there yet. And she asked her, "Did you invite him?" And come to think of it, where was Chelsea? Because Chelsea had mentioned it when she was at Orphe Jeans with Andre, but why didn't she show up? I guess. So she asked, "Did you tell Bill? Did you invite Bill?" And Naomi says, "Yeah, I did. I called him, but Haley said that Haley turned it down on both of their on for both of them or whatever, saying that Bill is swamped." Danny says, "No, Bill's child bride didn't want to share her toy." So that's when she texts Bill. So they start the um they start the ceremony. Elon's giving his speech. Jacob isn't. He's like tuning out because he can hear the pow pows or whatever. Elon gives him the reward. Darlene runs up to give him a hug first and tells everyone she made cake. Isaiah asks Eva if she wants a slice. She says she's gonna have eat as much as she can and then tell Darlene how good it is. Elon approaches them and makes a remark about Isaiah still being there and family events not being his thing. Jacob puts the plaque in his desk and Naomi brings him over a slice of cake. He wants to leave and go to Uptowns to get a drink, but she says, "Okay, let me tell Ashley first because I said I would meet her later." And he tells her, "Nah, just go." So he leaves. She calls Danny and tells Danny that they're heading out and to cover for them. Danny asks if everything's okay. Naomi says she isn't sure. Then she leaves. So Darlene tells Malone that she spoke to his wife, spoke to his ex-wife, and she couldn't be here because she's out living her best life. So then we see Leslie come in and yeah, Leslie comes in. She and Darlene have a back and forth. She tells Darlene that she gonna beat her up, and Darlene is just like, "I wish you would." Eva comes over, takes her away, takes Leslie away, and then they're talking in the corner. Darlene tells Malone, like, "Oh, I can't believe you left your wife for Satan." And he was just like, "And I'm living my best life now." We see Danny and Smitty talking about Leslie, and she always intruding where she don't need to be at. Then they start talking about Danny's brush with the law. Darlene walks up on them and like makes a remark. And then she asks, "Where's Jacob and Naomi?" Danny covers for them, and she tells her that, "Oh, Jacob wanted more. I mean, Smitty wanted more cake," so she goes to cut him another slice of cake, and Danny is just like, she apologizes for throwing him under the bus. And he says, he says, he says, you owe me and I will collect. And I was just like, I love the little scenes. I love seeing people who don't interact with each other normally interact with each other. It's cute. So let's see. Where are we at? Where are we at? Oh, she tells him she can't wait to read the story. He tells her it's multiple stories and she's proud of him. We see Leslie talking about Darlene's spread and making jokes about it, making remarks or whatever. Eva tells her to stop, but of course she doesn't, because you always tell your mama to stop and she never does. So, girl, whatever. So, um, she tells her, she tells her this is what Leslie tells her this is what I meant by you putting others before me, and you turning your back on me. Eva tells her, I didn't tell you because I wanted to avoid what just happened, and that Darlene has been nice to her. And it's just like, why would I even invite you? First of all, you, Leslie, the fact that you feel comfortable walking into a police station as much as you do, because you are on the police's radar, that just shows how much, like, you really think you are above the law. And that's why I need somebody to touch her. You too, Eva, because y'all just walking around like y'all ain't got all these skeletons in y'all's closet. And I just need y'all to be found out. But whatever. So, Eva told her that Darlene was nice to her. Leslie says she can be nice too. So we see Eva and Izaiah talking about family or whatever. Then we see Leslie walking up to Darlene and she's being rude, of course, because she can't never be nice to nobody. She always got to say the last word. So she says something about how about Izaiah making a feast for Eva's birthday. And it was just like, girl, no, he made macaroni and cheese, but whatever. And talks about, how you weren't invited, and um what's it called, and how Izaiah loves me more than you, or some BS like that. So she walks away and she goes to hug Izaiah and calls him son, and Izaiah hugs her. And it's just like, Izaiah, you two are trash, like, just trash. So we see back to, what's these people, back to them, and we see um Bill get the text from Danny, and he's just like, what is she talking about? And then he's like, because she was just like, you always miss family events. So he was just like, me and Ted was just talking about how they always kick us, they don't invite us to stuff that pertains to family or whatever. So he gets ready to text her, and then Haley tells him like, oh no, I'm the one. I had told Naomi called me and told me, and I told her that you were busy, so you couldn't do it or whatever. And it wasn't really anything. It was just Elon giving Jacob an award. It was just like a nepo baby thing, and it was just like, these things that they be saying. Like, I don't understand why Bill didn't say anything about that, because your children are also Nepo babies. So the fact that she's talking about Jacob being a Nepo baby, your children are Nepo babies too. And you ain't saying nothing. You just letting this lady just talk reckless about your daughter's husband. In essence, she's talking about your daughter as well. But I digress. So he understands and tells her, to keep him informed next time. Don't keep him in the dark about stuff like that, because if Naomi called him, then that means that Naomi must have wanted him there or whatever. So he leaves to call Jacob to congratulate him. Haley asks the waiter to refill Bill's drink, and once he does, she takes the coffee and she puts some of the stuff in it or whatever, in broad daylight in front of all these people. She pours some of the stuff into his drink or whatever. So he comes back and she has him drink poison or whatever. And then we end the episode off with Kat. She goes back to Uptown. She runs into Jacob and she's just like, oh, congratulations. Do you want to get a celebratory drink? He was just like, nah, I'll get a drink, but ain't nothing celebratory about it. He, talks about Derek or whatever, and Kat goes and sits beside him and hugs him or whatever. So that's the way the episode ends. This was an episode. I don't want. I'm. It wasn't. It's not that I didn't like the episode, because there's only been a handful of episodes that I was just like, yeah, you know. But this one, it was just like all the Leslie, Eva, and Izaiah of it all just irritated me, because again, I do not like those characters. But I digress. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. Get down in the comments. Tell me what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.